Okay, welcome to Memory Maps, and today we're going to be working on Europe. The first thing we need is our materials. You should have a pencil, a blank sheet of paper, and a ruler with inches on it. Now, the great thing about these maps is that you can do them on just about anything, as long as it is a blank sheet of paper. We've used all kinds of things, copy paper, scrap paper, and they are super fun. Okay. Now, I want to go over a couple things. One, you want to make sure your hand is in your writing hand, your pencil is in your writing hand, and your ruler is in your ruler hand. So if you write with your right hand, your ruler hand is your left hand. If you are a lefty, then your writing hand is your left hand and your ruler hand is on with your right hand. You want to make sure that you always keep your ruler on your ruler side and you're writing with the writing side, because you don't want to do this action. It makes crooked lines and you can't see them. So you want to make sure that you keep whatever hand you write with, you can see the lines that you are making. You also want to make sure that you are bracing your fingers. So keep your fingers in the center of your ruler, and you want to keep them spread out as far as possible so that you have the most pressure to hold your ruler down. If you do this, then what happens is you get crooked lines, and nobody wants crooked lines. If you put your fingers on the edge, then you get bumpy lines, and those look bad. So keep your fingers in the center, spread out as far as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with Europe. You're going to want your ruler to measure up at the top. I always tell my kids, you use the marks, not the edge of your ruler. You're going to put at the edge of your paper, and you're going to mark 3 inches down with a tick mark. So a tick mark is just a little mark that helps you catch your measurements and line up your ruler. So I've done 3 inches. Now notice that I'm turning my paper and then drawing my line. Okay, and then I am going to do 2 inches from the side. So it doesn't really matter where your tick marks are as long as they're a little spread out. So I'm going to measure 2 inches in, and then I'm going to measure up my lines. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my ruler, and I'm going to measure 2 inches, and then 2 inches again. Now, I'm going to do this one as if I was a lefty. I'm going to put my ruler, measuring it up with the tick marks, and I'm going to take my pencil and put it in my writing hand. I'm going to spread my fingers out, and I'm going to draw down. Okay, so notice that I wasn't doing this and trying to draw like this because you can't see. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do, so I've made 2 longitude lines, my vertical lines going down, longitude. So longitude, you can see, when you say it, you can feel your mouth going down, and then latitude, you notice your mouth goes flat, like latitude. So I've made 2 longitude lines, and now I'm going to make 2 latitudes. So I have 1 latitude line right here. Now I'm going to fold the bottom of my paper up to meet that latitude line, and now I'm making my second latitude line. Okay, and now I have my second latitude line. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and mark these. I'm going to make this one 30 degrees. This longitude line is going to be the prime meridian. Prime meridian. And then this one's going to be the Arctic. Make sure you get the k in there. Circle. And I always say capitalize everything except for the word of. Okay, these are proper nouns. And now I'm going to go 40 degrees down there. Okay, now I've got my lines labeled, and I'm going to reference these lines, so you want to make sure they're labeled first. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to mark Iceland, and I say it's about the size of a quarter. And then I'm going to do Ireland, and I say that one's the size of a dime. Now, these are not going to be 100% accurate because Europe is really compact, and so we just do our best to try to get the general idea of where things are and the general spacing, but they're not going to be perfect. This just gives you general direction. Okay, now we're going to find the Arctic Circle and 40 degrees. And I'm going to go halfway, about a finger's width to the left of the prime meridian. And that's going to be the top of the United Kingdom. And now I'm going to come down below the 40 degrees. And I'm going to put one on this side of the prime meridian and one on the other side. So we're basically making a big triangle. Okay. And always use a ruler. The United Kingdom. Now I didn't split up, all the things in the United Kingdom. We're not into politics right now, we're just drawing maps. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is do the top of your paper at 30 degrees and then the Arctic Circle. You're going to want to find the middle of that line. And this is going to be the top of our trio, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Now I want you to go find the Arctic Circle and the prime meridian, and we're going to go in the corner. This one's going to be, think of like about an inch or so away from that corner, maybe a little smidge farther over. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is draw a line to that. Now that's going to be the top of Norway. Now we're going to go in about an inch diagonal. And then we're going to go down a bit, about an inch again, right here. Now that we're going to close up our triangle by doing the dot we made. Okay. And now that's Norway. Norway. And now we're going to find the intersection between Norway's bottom line and the Arctic Circle. And we're going to draw a dot. And now we're going to go about an inch down. So now you've got what kind of looks like, not quite a rectangle, but it's definitely quadrilateral. So much math. Don't you love it? Okay, Norway, Sweden. And now we're going to make Finland. Now Finland's going to look a little bit bigger than it normally does on the map, but it's generally this location and size. So find the middle of Sweden, the lines that you made for Sweden, that line segment, and you're going to put a dot. And now we're going to go on the other side of 30 degrees. And now we're going to connect these. And that's going to be called Finland. Now my students love the next one because it's just a line. Finland. The next one is Russia. And we're not going to do all of Russia because we consider that part of Asia, even though it's both politically. But in this map, we are going to do just a line, and that's going to be for Russia. They love that one. Okay, now we've gotten the first chunk done. Now we're going to come down and we're going to do the southern part of Europe. Now I want you to find 40 degrees and the bottom of your paper, and you're going to find the middle and you're going to put a dot in the middle. Now we're going to make about a 1-inch square, and I told my students that if you want to make it easy for yourself, you can put your ruler 1 inch away and make a dot, and there you go. We are now making Spain and Portugal. Okay, so I've got my square, and now I'm going to make a little door, and this is called Portugal, and I tell my students if you can't fit it in there, you can draw lines, but don't make them all crazy. Okay, now we need to make the side of Spain, so we're going to come over the other side of the prime meridian, and we're going to go in between these two dots, and it kind of looks like a sideways house in Portugal is the garage. Okay, and that is Spain. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make France. Now, France, the location of France is going to be important because that's going to ground everything else. So, you're going to find the corner of the United Kingdom and the top of Spain, and you're going to draw a dot in the middle. Then you're going to draw a dot at the other corner of the United Kingdom, just below. Now, you're going to go parallel to this dot over just past the dot you just made. And now you're going to go parallel to the top of Spain, and you're going to go just below the dot you just made. And it's going to kind of look like a space, what is that, a space ship, or what is that thing called? I don't remember. Okay. The cockpit, maybe that's what it's called. I'm going to remember it halfway through. Okay, now I'm just connecting all the dots. And there you go. Okay, that is France. France. Okay, now I'm going to do one little dot in between France or Spain's two dots right there, because that's Andorra. And my students love all the ones where you could just put a dot. It's a very small microstate, but it's considered politically a country, so we have to add it. Okay, now we're going to do what we call the narwhal horn, or the unicorn horn. You're going to just draw a line up to that 40 degrees and make a point. And we're going to cut it in half. And this is called Belgium and the Netherlands. Netherlands. Very small. We got to squeeze it in. Okay, now we're going to take the top of Netherlands and we're going to find Sweden. And we're going to do a swoop-de-doo. And that's going to be Denmark. So we're going to go swoop and over. You know what? That's a little too up. If you've watched any of my other videos, I love the eraser. Always do your maps in pencil because, you know, sometimes you just make mistakes. And I've been doing these maps for a really long time. And sometimes I still make mistakes and because we're human. And that's okay. So, here we go. There we go. And that's okay. I feel like Bob Ross a little bit right now. It's a happy mistake. Okay, not Denmark, Denmark. Okay, so now we've got Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, the BND. So we do when we memorize it. Okay, now we're doing, I call these the princess countries. And the reason why I call them the princess countries is because they end with an ia at the end. And if you've ever watched Hallmark movies or Disney movies or any other kind of movies, there's always some remote imaginary country that ends with E, like ia, like Moldova and I don't know. There's just a ton of them, and they always end with Dovia, and there's some princess or prince that's, you know, didn't know they were going to be a princess or a prince, and then they had some relative that they inherited it from or something. So, these are called the princess countries because we have Lithuania, we have Latvia, and we have Estonia. So if there was ever going to be an imaginary princess, they'd probably be somewhere over here and it would be a made-up land. So now we've got the princess countries, and you can connect to these two dots, these two lines too. Okay. So we made a three country dot. Now they are a little bit long, not the same length in real life, but it gives us the general location. Okay, now we're going to start back down here in the south, and we're going to do Germany, Poland, and Belarus. So find France and Andorra, and you're going to find the middle, and you're going to put a little dot, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to find Denmark. So I'm going to go over to Denmark, and then I'm going to go up below 40 degrees. And then I'm going to go over to where Lithuania starts. And I'm going to drop it over. Sorry, I didn't mean to block the camera. Okay, so now I'm going to cut these right here, and now I've got Germany and Poland. Okay, now we're going to do Belarus. Okay, so Belarus, you're going to find the corner right here, and you're going to cross over 30 degrees, and then you're going to go up, and then you're going to cross through Lithuania, and that is Belarus. Okay, the last thing we're going to do before we end this particular video is we're going to do Switzerland. We're going to do our middle countries. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make Switzerland, which is just in the middle between the dot you made and this one on France. And I'm going to go down here, and that's going to be Switzerland. And now I'm going to go from Switzerland's corner, and I'm going to go over to Poland, but not quite all the way to Poland. I'm just going to leave a little corner of Poland out. And I'm going to make a box like this. It's like a present. Okay, and now I have the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary. Hungary, not hungry like your tummy. Okay, now we're going to make Italy. So take the bottom of France, that one little dot, and you're going to come over like you're making the top of your boot. Come down, so this is like the fold of your boot, and you're going to curve down and do your best on making a boot. Italy. It's kind of fun to make, but it's also kind of hard. And there you go. That's Italy. Italy. Okay. And then we're going to do Slovenia, which is just like a piece of cheese off the corner of Italy. Slovenia. So Slovenia. Okay, now we're going to do I call this the hamstring of the leg. So you've got the hamstring in the back. That is San Marino. Then we've got the knee of the boot, of the leg, is Vatican City. And then the hip right there is Monaco, M-O-N-A-C-O. And then down here, if you want, you can do Sicily, even though that's not technically a country. And then down here is Malta, M-A-L-T-A. And that is what we're going to do so far. The next video will add in our southeast portion of Europe. So that's it. That is your map of Europe. Thank you for watching.